Welcome back to my live stream. Now, let's test this, see this is working so y'all can hear what I'm saying. Alright, here we go. This is Monday Night Raw, December 29th, 2025. The final Raw 2025. This is Jacob Cat 2024. Hit that like button, leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comment section below if y'all want to see more. My video is sponsored by Solomon the Sound Off, JD from New York, Fightful Pro Wrestling, and other podcasters like Joe Cronin and other YouTubers like Anissa Salcedo and No DQ. Now, enjoy this video. This will be like an hour and 10 minutes. So, while I play Fortnite, I'm going to talk about Monday Night Raw. Now, Monday Night Raw would the show was live. Is it The Simpsons or what? Now, as we talk about Monday Night Raw, we talk about the news and rumors. It is snowing because we are in the winter. Alright, so might we'll get back into might we'll talk about Monday Night Raw. Well, you got no DQ here.
What's so special about Domino's specialty pizzas? Your taste buds will know. Trust me.
Hold on.
If you're an illegal alien, this runway is your
Hold on.
because you're headed home.
Alright, you know what? Hold on. I do want to talk about the Monday Night Raw, but first I gotta find like a hiding spot because I don't want to like I'm not trying to get killed here while I do my commentary. Now I'm not gonna do. I didn't want to play the wrestling. God damn it. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm sorry it's taking a long time here. God damn it. I'm trying to find a hiding spot while I do my commentary. Hold on. Alright, we got there's a lot to talk about on this show. The show was fine. Thought the opener was fine. We got Joe Cronin.
This one.
Alright, you know what? Come on now.
Several people that are dead that held that belt.
Alright.
Crazy. Look at Boogie if he...
I'm gonna show y'all Steven Larson.
But if you want me as someone who watches your product and maybe doesn't watch NXT to think this person's a major deal, Impact, not TNA.
Because Fightful.
Just to make her smart.
Sean, what's up? Not there to Kate
I
Allen.
like it too. I like clever wrestling, and I think in Triple Threats, there was like a pretty obvious dynamic in all of this with Raquel being in there. So it doesn't feel like underhanded when she did it. It felt like a.
Alright, hold on.
It felt like I have a.
Alright, hold on. I might want to do it quick. I just want to do a quick review here. Now, what happened on Monday Night Raw, the show opened up with Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on. Alright, so as I was saying, I'm trying to do my commentary, but at the same time, I don't want to die. So the way how Monday Night Raw started was CM Punk and Braun Breaker. And it was a very good opener. Punk and Breaker went back and forth. Obviously, they're hyping up their match for next week, which is the first Monday Night Raw 2026. We will see what happens there. Alright, so Braun Breaker and CM Punk exchanged words. I'm not sure who's gonna win next week. If it's gonna be Braun Breaker, is he gonna win, or is there gonna be some screwy finish, or Punk gonna somehow retain and might carry this into the Royal Rumble? Oh wait. Alright. Alright. Now, we did get a bad day segment with the Judgment Day. Tried to get back on top. Where we had Raquel, Liv Morgan, and Roxanne. Hopefully they tease some kind of tension with Judgment Day. Maybe with Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez. I don't know. Hope that leads somewhere. I don't think we saw Dominic, and we did. I didn't see a cutscene. He didn't even have a match tonight. Now we did get Stephanie Valiquette defend her Women's World Championship against Nikki Bella and Raquel Rodriguez. Obviously, Stephanie Valiquette retained. She pinned Nikki Bella. Hopefully we can move on. We're done. No more did Nikki Bella on TV. On my TV, no more for going after the championship. It's a waste. Hopefully we're done. Now they did protect Raquel, so maybe Raquel could get a rematch, or Liv Morgan. We have to wait and see. But Stephanie Valiquette, the only woman champion, was that good. I'm gonna give some better challengers. Now we still got the feud with the Kabuki Warriors and Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. They're still going after the women's tag team titles. They had a pretty good brawl on the show. And then we got Gunther. He beat R-Truth. Ruthlessly destroyed R-Truth. Put him in a sleeper hold. In 2026, Gunther gotta be a monster. He gotta be a dominant figure. After retiring John Cena and the mega heat that he got. I wonder who they're gonna get at WrestleMania. It could be AJ. It could be AJ Styles or Brock Lesnar. We'll have to wait and see. But you gotta get a big opponent for WrestleMania. We did get Austin Theory versus Rey Mysterio. The match ended in a DQ because Logan Paul got involved in the match, caused it to end the DQ. So we had Penta. He came out, helped Rey Mysterio fend off against Theory and Paul. We could get a tag team match with them probably next week. I have a feeling that we will get Austin Theory and Logan Paul in a tag team, and they could go after the tag team champions. We'll have to wait and see. Because we know that Logan Paul helped Theory, and he helped him beat that Rey Mysterio, and then Penta got involved to help fend off the Vision. Now we did get another segment with Becky Lynch and Maxine Dupree. They're still feuding. When's it gonna end? When they're gonna move on? And like they don't know what to do with these two girls. Oh, actually, wait a minute. Yeah, so Becky Lynch confronts Maxine Dupree. They changed words. A pretty good segment. Hopefully that they move on. How many times are they going to keep feuding? We're still getting the same people in feud. It's the same thing on SmackDown. And then the main event with the Usos win the World Tag Team title from AJ Styles and AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. Alright, hold on. Now, I'm gonna show y'all the podcasters. Hold on.
What a year. Trips, gifts, holidays. But all those memories come with a cost.
From underneath Mania 2 years ago, when they lost those titles to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in the main event tonight for what was, on the whole, a pretty average episode of Raw. Outside of the opening segment and the closing segment, they bookended the show with the two best segments of the night. Because, look, everything is building to next week. Next week is the big one. Next week is the first Raw of 2026. They're going to be here live in Brooklyn. That, of course, is going to be the World Heavyweight Championship match between CM Punk and Braun Breaker. Actually, there's about three. I believe it's three championship matches on next week's show. The men's world title, the women's intercontinental title, and the women's tag team titles are all being defended on next week's show. And there's rumors going around about what other things we might possibly see next week. So it really was all about building next week's show. But what do we get tonight? Well, in the main event, we had AJ Lee, as I call them, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, defending the World Tag Team titles against the Usos. It has been some time since we have seen Jimmy and Jay together as tag team champions. In fact, you would have to go all the way back to WrestleMania 2 years ago, when they lost those titles to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in the main event on night one. That is how long it has been since the two of them have held tag team gold together. And there was some question about, well, what's going to happen here with Jay? Is Jay potentially going to go heel? Is there going to be some kind of miscommunication that's going to cost them the match? Is this going to lead to some kind of drama between the brothers? And in fact, there was none of that. What we got in the main event tonight was an excellent match. And the Usos now 9 times over are World Tag Team Champions. For the 9th time in their career, they have Tag Team Gold. It was an excellent match. And honestly, it just feels like the universe has corrected itself as far as the Usos being back together. It's been long enough. And there's a need right now for, a major team like theirs in that division, a division that could use a lot of help. They are where they need to be. and they are the tag team champions. And, you know, as far as AJ Styles is concerned, we always knew that this was going to be a temporary pairing with him and Dragon Lee, and it opens him up now as he heads into what he has said will be his final year in the ring to pursue other challenges on his own. So everything about that main event I thought was great. It was the highlight of the show. The other highlight of the show came actually in the opening segment, which involves CM Punk and Braun Breaker. One last face-off before their World Heavyweight Championship match next week. We had a Women's World Championship triple threat match tonight. I was very worried about what they might do in this match because, of course, if you watched the show last week, you saw there was drama, as there always is, in the ranks of the Judgment Day with Liv and Raquel and Roxanne. And I was looking at that and going, that doesn't work very well for Raquel's chances in this match, which leaves Stephanie and Nikki. And Nikki Bella, of course, have been coming out and getting a lot of heat when she comes out to address the fans. Would they do a title change in that match, but not put the title on Raquel, but put the championship actually on Nikki? I legitimately thought there was a very good chance that we would see that tonight, and I was very happy that that was not the case. And in fact, Stephanie is still the champion. How they went about doing it, though, was kind of interesting. So we'll talk about that match as well. Not a whole lot else going on this show tonight. The one update that we did get, which is not a good update, was on the condition of Dominic Mysterio. Now, a couple weeks ago at the AAA show, he, of course, wrestled a tag team match. It was him and El Grande Americano against Rey Mysterio and Rey Fenix. Because Penta was out hurt, we did not get that Lucha Brothers reunion. And in the course of doing that match, Dom got hurt. His father gave him a DDT. He landed on his shoulder. It was very clear he was legitimately hurt. The only question was, how serious is it? And we still don't know the severity of it. We still don't know what the injury is exactly. We don't know if it was a shoulder separation. We don't know if it's something he's going to need surgery for. The only update we got tonight on commentary from Joe Tessitore is that Dom is on the shelf indefinitely. He is injured, and that is all that we know. And that's a problem. Because Dom, of course, has been all over the place. He's been in WWE, on Raw every week. He's been in AAA. He's got 2 championships. So it's kind of a problem if he has to go down for any length of time, and it sounds like he ain't going to be coming back anytime soon. You just hope he can avoid surgery. But that doesn't mean he's not going to be gone for a period of months. And now are we looking at a situation where he's out even beyond WrestleMania? We don't know. But the update that we did get from them tonight did not sound too good, so that'll be something to watch, because if he is out, then, I don't know, we may be headed towards another tournament for that Intercontinental title. This is your final Raw on Netflix review here for the year of 2025. It is Monday night, December 29th. I am the Solemn Monster. Thank you very much for hanging out with me here one last time on a Monday night here in 2025. Do hit that subscribe button if you are new here. We are closing in rapidly on 90,000 subscribers. We're going to hit it hopefully next month at some point. We are less than 300 subs away. So certainly would love a subscribe if you are new here. Also hit that like button. 400 likes minimum is the goal for our Be the Booker segment later on. We have a bonus goal. Super chats are open, of course. I'll read all of your messages a little bit later on. You'll see them popping up on your screen. You guys know the drill. She knows the drill. Never fails to get me. Always gets me. We got a good one of those tonight, by the way, in the segment with the Kabuki Warriors. We got a good Kyrie scream from Asuka. Thank you, Barry. So yes, as you can tell, super chats are open. And just to remind all of you, the next time I'm live here on the channel will be Wednesday night. It's going to be a big one. 6th year in a row, we're doing our Make It Till Midnight countdown to 2026. It is our New Year's Eve stream. We always have fun here on these streams. Get all dressed up a little bit, and it happens to fall on a Wednesday this year. And there's actually some big matches on Wednesday, so we're going to kind of weave in and out of a Dynamite review and do all the usual shenanigans that we do. So if you are not otherwise indisposed, hopefully you will be able to join me. That'll be coming up on Wednesday night. And, of course, later in the week, I didn't queue up the funeral march, but it is the beginning of the new 3-hour era of SmackDown. That is coming up this Friday. But before we get there, let's talk about this Raw show, which kicked off in the back with all the members of the Vision assembling. It's not quite the Avengers assembling, but all the members of the Vision, Austin Theory being the newest one, Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Logan Paul. And as I've said, it's nice to see Logan Paul as a regular now on the show. He's always been part-time. Now he's regular. He's on the show every single week now. So they were all backstage, and they were on their way out to the ring. And, of course, Heyman, as he usually does here in these segments, first one to speak. And he was serenaded by chants of CM Punk. So he said that Punk could have been in the Vision if he had listened to him, but he stupidly placated the audience instead. Heyman claimed that in 5 years, the fans would look back at all of the WrestleMania main eventers standing in the ring right now. Do you think that Austin Theory is going to be a WrestleMania main eventer in the next 5 years? Because I don't. Or Bronson Reed, for that matter. And I like Bronson Reed. Not going to happen. Although I will say that Braun Breaker will, of course, but I actually could see Logan Paul as a night one WrestleMania main eventer sometime in the next 5 years. Especially now, if he's really committing to it full time. I could absolutely see him making that spot at some point. Austin Theory, I see Logan Paul doing it before I ever see Austin Theory doing it. So he then officially welcomed Theory into the Vision. Theory took the mic, said he's waited his entire life for this moment. Before he could get too deep into his thoughts here, out sauntered the World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk. Punk said he didn't come out here to listen to Theory, he came out here to talk to Braun Breaker. And Punk said, yeah, the Vision, you could attack me. You could jump me right now, you could kick me, you could punch me, you could spear me, you guys could do all these things to me. But then there wouldn't be a world title match on January 5th. So with that little safety net in place, Punk asked Breaker, send the Vision away. I'll come into the ring, it'll be just you and me. Send your boys out of the ring. And so he did, and the members of the Vision, they went outside. They were standing out in front of the announce desk. So they went nose to nose, did Punk and Breaker. And Breaker said, he spoke first. And Breaker said that he's tired of people saying that he's the future. He's the future of WWE. He goes, I'm the now. Breaker said Punk thinks that he had everything handed to him. Said that he's lived under a microscope. Breaker noted that while Punk worked the Indies early in his career, he shared the field with NFL star Lamar Jackson. So he said this to illustrate the point that you and I are not the same. He told Punk that he's willing to die on January 5th. I don't think Netflix would like that very much. I'm just saying. I think the Netflix executives are like, you know what, we could do without that. He says he knows Punk is willing to do the same, so he'll let him, and he'll become the World Heavyweight Champion. So then it was Punk's turn to respond. He said that Breaker's mistake was thinking that he knows what he thinks of him. Punk said he knows that Breaker is ready. There's just one problem, Braun. I'm not ready. So he took off the world title belt, which I have to say, every week he comes out, and he's wearing that world championship, and it's like comically large around his waist. So he removes the belt, and he lays it flat on the mat in between them. And he says, you know, it's really heavy. And he's not just talking about the physical weight of it. He's not ready to give up the title. He said somebody will beat him for it someday, but it will not be Braun Breaker. And then he told Breaker that he would see him on January 5th. So this was, and again, you can't, you know, when you kind of recap something like this, you kind of have to visualize it in your head. But especially Breaker got very animated, especially the more he spoke and the deeper he got into this idea that, you know, you think you know me, and, you know, everybody thinks because of my name, in my family lineage, I had everything handed to me. He was getting all fired up. So we got some good intensity from him. Punk, you know, again, Punk in this environment on the mic, when he has somebody to joust off of, is always very good. So what we got here was a great little verbal joust between the two of them. It's a little bit of final hype here, great final hype before the big World Championship match next week. So this is exactly what it needed to be. And so now the question is, what happens in Brooklyn next week? It feels to me like we're not getting a title change here. Again, we're getting another WWE Championship match between Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes. Not this week, but next week they're going to be in Berlin, Germany. So next week, we are getting two big World Championship matches, one on Monday and one on Friday. And as I've been saying, of those two, if we were to only get one, and we may get none, but if we were to get one title change, I think it should be the one on SmackDown. I don't think Braun Breaker has to win the World Heavyweight title. I would prefer that he win the World Heavyweight title. I think he should win the World Heavyweight title. But it's not a killer if he doesn't. Because the Royal Rumble is right around the corner. And if you were to make a list of the top 3 favorites, I'm sure that he would be on most people's lists. As one of the favorites to win the Royal Rumble, they have talked him up so much as a future WrestleMania main eventer that, especially with Seth Rollins likely not being on the WrestleMania card, although he might sneak his way on there. But I doubt he's going to be in the main event unless he gets tacked onto an existing match, make it a triple threat. The likelihood of him headlining his first Mania, which would be night 1, would be this year. Because they've talked Breaker up so much as this future WrestleMania main eventer. You're going to main event WrestleMania 5 or 10 times. It's probably going to happen this year for the first time. Whether he goes in as the champion or he goes in as the challenger, either way. So we'll find out next week, what direction they want to take things in. But I don't know. To me, now that we're a week out, it feels to me like less and less of a likelihood of him actually winning the title next week. But again, I would love to see it. They're trying to establish the vision as this dominant heel group on this show. The way that he took out Seth Rollins, he should have been the de facto leader anyway from that day on. And the way you solidify that is by putting the World Heavyweight Championship on him and making people like CM Punk chase after him for it. They may want to save that first title for a much bigger stage, like WrestleMania, because they really do see him as the future, right? Or one of the people that will lead the way into the future for this company. They may want to hold off until a big event like WrestleMania and do the title change there. Whatever they do next week, I just hope they have something good planned where they can keep things really interesting rolling into Rumble season. However they do this finish next week, especially if Braun doesn't win, there better be a damn good reason for him not to win, other than just Punk hitting a GTS, or even worse, if they do some kind of bullshit disqualification finish where Theory runs in and we get a cheap DQ. That would be the worst thing they could do. And then, of course, there are people who still believe that maybe Theory is kind of a mole on the inside of the Vision, and he's not really all that he claims to be, and maybe he's sort of a secret agent for Seth Rollins. And people get very creative with these different ideas. I can't rule it out completely. Seems unlikely to me, especially because we're not going to see Seth back on TV for quite some time. But if he was some sort of secret agent here, then you would think he would not allow Braun Breaker to win the World Championship next week. I don't know. I don't see that being the case, though. Backstage, Raquel Rodriguez was interviewed by Jackie Redmond about her spot in the triple threat match tonight for the women's world title. She said that there would be no tricks, and nothing would stand in the way of her becoming the women's world champion. Liv Morgan interrupted and said that she knew things had been strange lately, but she knew Raquel would become the new champion. And Raquel emphasized that, look, I got to do this on my own. I want to win this title on my own. So Roxanne Perez walked in and she wished Raquel good luck, and Raquel said, I wouldn't need any luck tonight. No luck is necessary. She could have used some of that luck, though, because this did lead into the triple threat match for the Women's World Championship. Stephanie Vicaire defending her title against Nikki Bella and Raquel Rodriguez. So the bell rings, they immediately start arguing with Nikki is in there declaring, I'm a legend, I'm a legend. So Raquel took that opportunity to throw her down, and Stephanie tried to steal one with a roll-up. Joe Tessitore, this is the point in the show where Tessitore let us know on commentary that Dominic had a shoulder injury and that he was going to be out indefinitely. And that was the last that we heard anything about Dom for the rest of the show. It was just based on that very thin update that he gave us here on commentary. But then they also added that, JD McDonough is out as well. He had surgery recently. Just for some nagging minor, injuries. I don't think he's going to be out for too long, but, he's out right now. Dom's out. They just got Liv back. But they pointed out here that the Judgment Day could really use this win. So back in the ring, Nikki and Stephanie, they fell victim to Raquel's power. She was just overpowering both women. Nikki jumped off the top rope. Raquel caught her and just tossed her aside. She grabbed Stephanie and put her in a gory special on her back, trying to make her tap. Stephanie reversed it into a sunset pin, but Nikki broke it up. A shout out to Anobi in the chat. He says, hello, Solo and chat. Hello, Anobi. How are you on this Monday evening? Hopefully better than me. So, Stephanie tried to go up top. Nikki pulled her down and then swept Raquel's leg out from underneath her. Nikki locked on an STF on Raquel, but Raquel powered out into a leg lock. Stephanie flipped them both over and then delivered a double devil's kiss to Peak. Great idea. So Jimmy said, the only bad spot that you're in is in your head, dude. You're a former world champion. You're a multiple...
Come back and get that major babyface. Joining me right here on Off the Script, people love ruining things for others who very much want to be surprised and spoiler-free. Last couple weeks have been rough. WWE was on Christmas break. Both Raw and SmackDown and NXT were taped through the holidays. Not much happens. Everything just kind of felt flat. Tonight's show didn't really pick up the energy or do anything different coming out of the holidays. This was still very much a show that set up next week's big show in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center, where WWE is going to be celebrating 1 year on Netflix, January 5th next week. This was a show that set the stage, or will be setting the stage, for what's happening next week. Thing is, nothing really big happened on tonight's show outside of a title change in the main event between the Usos, AJ Styles, and Dragon Lee, which we'll get into in just a second. Nothing really big happened on tonight's show. We got the return of Penta. Penta's back. Anytime Penta's on the show, it's a great addition. Love Penta. Braun Breaker and CM Punk, they had a great face-to-face. Braun Breaker, once again, carrying himself incredibly well for a youngster against the veteran CM Punk, the World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk. Looking forward to that match. One of the reasons why I'm looking forward to the match is because I genuinely don't know who's going to win. It could really go either way. Could go Braun Breaker, could go CM Punk. So WWE's done a very good job of building this match, making it feel big, and giving us a little side dish of unpredictability. But this show didn't really do anything as far as, advancing a story or giving us something new. And then you look at next week's show. And next week's show looks like a great show. We got a tag team title match for the ladies. It's Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus the Kabuki Warriors. We have CM Punk and Braun Breaker. We have Maxine Dupree versus Becky Lynch. We may get one or two other matches added. We have no idea what WWE's got planned for next week's show. I just don't know what WWE has planned, because I feel like, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way, New Year, let's start the year off with a bang. I just don't know where that bang is going to come from. And a lot of WWE television has felt flat. A lot of WWE television has felt uneventful. Little to no surprises. In my opinion, they need to do something next week. What that something is, I don't know. Now, the rumor is Chris Jericho could potentially be debuting with the company as soon as next week's Raw. He could be returning to the company next week in Brooklyn on January 5th. His contract expires with All Elite Wrestling as soon as the clock strikes midnight. As soon as we get the ball dropped, Chris Jericho is a free agent. Now, do I think WWE and Chris Jericho will be working together in the new year? 100%. Do I think a contract is signed? No. Do I think a contract is on the table ready to be signed? Yes, I do. As soon as that calendar turns over to 2026, a signature will be had on that paper. Chris Jericho is expected back in WWE. Contract with AEW expires in a few days, and he is the surprise that I think WWE should be giving us next week. If Braun Breaker is not going to win the World Heavyweight Championship next week and send us off the air with a new World Heavyweight Champion, something needs to happen. The show just simply can't go off the air with CM Punk retains over all members of the Vision. We'll see you guys later. They cannot go into next week's show with a lame duck ending. Do you guys remember what Triple H said last year? I guess it wouldn't technically be last year. It was the beginning of this year. We have 2 more days for the remainder of this year. It was back in January. Actually, it was back in December. Right around this time. WWE. They welcomed fans and media to their new Stamford, Connecticut headquarters. And they had what was a pep rally. Talent was there. It was live streamed on their YouTube channel. Triple H and Michael Cole and Nick Khan and everybody was there. All the bigwigs were there. Triple H stated that the start of Monday night on Netflix, January 6th, at the beginning of this year, would be the official starts for the road to WrestleMania. Normally, that's the Rumble. He pushed it to January 6th. He sped it up to January 6th. When we got to January 6th, we were left with pomp and all the pageantry of Netflix, and we got video packages galore about this new partnership, and we got Dwayne coming out to open the show. Not The Rock, not the final boss, Dwayne. And then he's there glazing Cody Rhodes like a Krispy Kreme donut. And we get Rollins and CM Punk in the main event. We get a cameo by The Undertaker and an appearance with Rhea Ripley. Hulk Hogan got booed out of Los Angeles, if you guys remember. God rest his soul. Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa for the Ulafala. Sounds like an entertaining show, huh? It was one of the more uneventful Raws of the entire year. It was a deflated Raw. It was like they took the fucking pin needle and popped the balloon. The official start to the road to WrestleMania, bro, I didn't feel any fucking road starting. At all. You think I forgot, huh? What an absolute fucking disappointment that show was. Then we got the rumor of Penta joining the company, and the shows that followed, they were a little bit more up to speed. They were a little bit more up to par for what we expected. The shows that actually followed in the following week and the week after that were better than the fucking debut episode. There's the Monday Night Raw we needed on January 6th. Where the fuck was that show? Next week they need to do something big. I don't really trust them to do anything big. This is fucking Sesame Street Levesque. He plays it as safe as possible. This is the same guy that's got to call fucking Big Bird to get creative okayed. As far as I'm concerned, Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch are running the fucking show. Next year should be a year of building youth, focusing on the future. Stories. Getting people invested with long-term stories that aren't too short and aren't too long. Next year should be a year of unpredictability. Next year should be a year of taking some risks. Next year should be a year of correcting all the mistakes and washing out the bad taste in everybody's mouth from what was a very down year creatively. Very down year creatively for WWE. Is Chris Jericho going to be the answer to all their problems? No. No, it's going to be a great return, especially if he comes out to Judas, which I hope he does. Even though that's not the best Fozzy song. To the fucking simple-minded, it's the best Fozzy song, but it's not the best Fozzy song. Not at all. Hopefully he walks out to Judas. Hopefully he gets a great reaction. And hopefully we get something along the lines of that popping us next week for the 1-year anniversary show. Jericho's expected back in WWE. WrestleVotes reported it today. People in WWE have expected Jericho to come back once he's finished with AEW since last August. In August of 2025, WrestleVotes reported that there was interest in bringing Jericho back, noting that several people within the company, including active talent on the roster, were advocating for his return. Gee, there's active people on that roster that were advocating for his return. Meanwhile, you go in my thread that I posted last night in regards to Chris Jericho, and the fan base vehemently doesn't understand. They don't really grasp the gravity of losing someone like Chris Jericho. The fans are so fucking stupid that they only think Jericho's worth is what he does on television. Thank God I'm not one of the social media troglodytes that has fucking zero brain. Losing Jericho...
My name is Detective Christopher Raven. I'm proud to introduce Mercy, a judicial system powered by artificial intelligence.
He thought he created the perfect system. It has roster. People you see on television advocating for his return. Sources at the time indicated that a deal was expected to be finalized as soon as Jericho's contract is expired. I would be a betting man that there's already a contract in his email. Guaranteed. Jericho's current contract with AEW is set to expire on December 31st, 2025. As soon as we get that clock turning over to 2026, it's over. He's been absent from AEW programming since April of 2025 following a loss to Bandito. Since that appearance, reports indicate there have been no active plans for him in AEW. There was no sign of Jericho at the World's End pay-per-view on Saturday night. Now, during his live stream on December 27th, Jericho held a live stream on his YouTube channel, and he addressed a fan question regarding the possibility of a WWE return. You never know. You never know. That's all he basically said. Earlier in the year, he told media outlets, use that term loosely, I'm pretty sure you'll see me in 2026 in a wrestling ring somewhere. Now, the reason why I'm starting off with this is because I wanted to really make it known that tonight's show wasn't bad, but tonight's show didn't do anything to get you excited about what the new year is going to bring WWE. And next week's show looks more of the same, just with bigger hype and a bigger stage, being that it's in Brooklyn, in New York City, at the Barclays Center. But the one thing I really want to focus on is the fact that last year, January 6th, we got the WWE debut on Netflix. And now we're celebrating a one-year anniversary next week. They need to fix what they didn't do last year in several different areas of their creative department. Jericho's not going to be the answer to everybody's fucking problems with WWE. He's 55 years old. The return's going to be great. The pop is going to be great. Seeing him back home is going to be great. But it's going to die very quickly. We also don't know how he's going to be used. The reason why I talk about this now is because if it is the plan to debut him on Monday night next week, could Jericho be revealed as the new leader of the Vision? If CM Punk is going to lose the championship, how is he going to lose the championship? Is Braun Breaker going to beat him clean? Every situation you think about, something like next week's title match, the outcome is not the only thing you have to think about. You have to think about where it's going to take both Braun Breaker and CM Punk. Could Jericho be revealed as the true leader of the Vision? I've heard several people say, well, Austin Theory was the masked man. But who's stopping them from revealing yet another masked man? Who's to say there was only one masked man? The other narrative is that Austin Theory is working as a sleeper cell inside the Vision, and he's secretly working for Seth Rollins, who's out injured. Could be. I just don't think Triple H and his writing team are that creative to do something that risky. Or something that out of the box. Or something that fun. Could Jericho be revealed as the leader of the Vision? Now, this would basically be a more adult-like version of what he did in AEW with the Learning Tree, which was fucking awful. Every bit of it was awful. He made no new stars in the Vision. Brian Keith is a waste. Big Bill is a waste. Love Big Bill, but it's a waste. He did absolutely nothing for anybody. Not a single fucking thing. He helped talent in the early days of AEW. But ultimately, you look back at everything that Jericho was a part of on AEW television, and I don't really think anybody that he was on television with, or anybody he was in a faction with, is better off for it now. They're either off television indefinitely, for one reason or another, or they're not there anymore. Jericho's influence was basically, let's get this mainstream name that everybody knows, somebody that was synonymous with the network that they're on, someone who's a Hall of Famer, who can still very much go and has name recognition, give him the AEW Championship and let him carry our company for the first year of existence. Sounds like a pretty big fucking deal to me. Without Jericho, there is no AEW. Which is why I don't really understand all the fucking negativity about him leaving. Oh, we don't need him. Oh, he's old. Oh, there's nothing more he can do on television. Blah, 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 blah. I'll get to that in a second. But what if Jericho is the leader of the Vision? And what if Jericho is the one to either A, cost Punk the championship, or B, Punk retains and Jericho is the surprise at the end of the show? Am I clamoring for a Jericho versus CM Punk match? No. But Jericho leading something like the Vision, sliding in there for someone like Seth Rollins, where it could absolutely work itself out to be Jericho versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Maybe we're looking at it the wrong way. He's initially going to come back and get that major babyface reaction, but who gives a shit? It'll be great, then he attacks CM Punk, and then all is right in the world. I could absolutely see that being the case. Otherwise, what is Jericho going to do coming back to the WWE? Everybody's like, oh yeah, we'll just feud him with LA Knight. That sounds great and all, but I don't really think that is exciting for Chris Jericho upon return. Jericho's the type of guy that wants to make an immediate splash. Jericho's also the type of guy that he's coming in, he wants to make a immediate impact And he doesn't want to be kind of delegated to being like, I don't know, mid-card. It's going to be a pretty big deal. Jericho, upon day one back in the WWE, is going to hold a lot of name value. He'll be right under the CM Punks and the Roman Reigns on Monday night. It's not going to be in a fucking middle-of-the-road mid-card feud with LA Knight out of nowhere. Could they save him for the Royal Rumble? Absolutely, but if they got him, why not bring him to television? Having him show up in the Rumble to do what exactly? Last 20 minutes and then get eliminated and then goodbye. I think coming over from AEW, Jericho being one of the true pillars of the company, I think WWE is going to want to make a bigger splash than him coming on in and making his return and feuding with fucking LA Knight. I think WWE is going to want to throw it in AEW's face, just like they did with Cody, and just like they did with CM Punk. Jericho is probably going to end up being something WWE uses to get their pettiness out of the system. Again, it's a possibility. And again, WWE needs to go off the air next week with a big bomb. Not just a world title change, we'll see you next week. What happens to Braun Breaker after that? Where does Braun Breaker go now that he's the World Heavyweight Champion? CM Punk, if he beats Braun Breaker, what happens? Where does he go? Who does he feud with next? If he loses the championship, where does he go? Who does he feud with next? Does he go into the Rumble? Does he focus on the other championship that he wants? Maybe focuses on Cody? All I'm saying is WWE's got Jericho. As soon as January 1st hits, why not? Why not? You know, the Jericho discussion really pissed me off because a lot of people are just so fucking stupid to see the fact that Jericho is so much more valuable than what he just does on television. You know, the cracks in AEW have already begun to form, and they're just getting bigger and bigger as the fucking weeks and months and years go by. The cracks already started to show when Cody and CM Punk left. The cracks only grow bigger every time Cody and CM Punk are on television, especially together. There are cracks in the AEW infrastructure that cannot be repaired. Losing Cody and CM Punk are going to haunt AEW for the rest of their days. And if you think AEW is better now without them, you're a fucking fool. AEW had one of the worst years creatively that I've ever seen. And if you watch what we do on Wednesday nights, and you listen to everything we say on Wednesday nights, it's not grifting. It's not hate. We don't hate watch. I did this same thing with Vince McMahon, and now Tony Khan is feeling the wrath, and if you think Tony Khan is going to escape my fucking wrath and everything that I have to say, now that I'm a better creator, I'm a better analyst, I'm a better this, I'm a better that, I'm a better everything than I was 5 years ago when I was doing this same thing to Vince McMahon. If you think I'm going to give them a fucking bye, if you think I'm going to give them a pass, you're a complete fucking idiot. Who do you think you're watching? I do it out of the love of the sport. I do it out of the love of professional wrestling. I do it out of the love because I want a better product. Nobody listens when I speak. I'm the most misinformed and misunderstood fucking guy in this entire space. Nobody listens to me when I speak. All you think is, he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that, and then nobody listens to anything I have to say. Everything is taken out of context, and you mix my words up into a point to fit your own narrative, and then you spew whatever the fucking narrative is that you think I'm about. No, that's not the case. Chris Jericho leaving AEW is a huge blow. That's one less 30-year veteran that Tony Khan does not have. And Tony Khan is under a lot of fire already because he blatantly went out on Ariel Helwani's podcast and said word for word verbatim, he lets his talent do whatever the fuck they want. There's only some instances where he'll get involved and he'll say no. And he mentioned Darby Allin jumping off a ladder through glass during Sting's retirement match that gave him any hesitations at all. but he let him do it. Tony Khan basically admitted that he lets his roster run wild and do whatever the fuck they want. So Tony's not a real leader. Tony's not a real boss. He leaves it in the hands of the talent, and he leaves it in the hands of the producers, if they even have any, or agents, if they even have any. And then what you see on Dynamite and what you see on the pay-per-views is a product of the fucking people who are in the match. And they do what they want. Tony picks the winners and the losers, and he's managing his E-Fed, and then he goes to the fucking post-show media scrum, and he gives some half-ass fucking answer by some fucking media hack, and he doesn't answer anything. Jericho leaving the company signals what? Jericho leaving the company is a blow, in my eyes, to AEW because Jericho looks at the company, Jericho looks at the leadership, and Jericho looks at everything that AEW has become now in year 6 as opposed to when he was first there. And it signals to him things have changed. This is not the same place that I entered during year 1. And there's nothing more than I can do to convince anybody to fix the fucking place and fix the mistakes that are happening here. Meanwhile, Tony Khan will go out there and say, yeah, I want Chris Jericho back. I'm happy to have Chris Jericho back. Hopefully we can work something out. I'd love to have him back in AEW. I'd love to keep him back in AEW. Motherfucker, you don't want Chris Jericho back in AEW because you've already told Chris Jericho, no matter what you do or what you say, you're not going to change my mind. This is my company, and I'm going to run it the way that I fucking want to run it. Tony Khan is not listening to anybody. He's not. If Tony Khan listened to anybody, things would have already changed. And things have only gotten worse. Jericho is basically telling you without telling you that I need to get the fuck out of here and I don't want to be here anymore. If Jericho thought that AEW was worth saving, or if he thought he could make a change to help the ecosystem in AEW, he would stay. Chris Jericho's creative was fucking awful the last 2 years of television on AEW. Awful. Do you want to know why? Because nobody told him no. Nobody told him no. There's no ecosystem. There is no structure in AEW. Meanwhile, Jericho gave us some of the worst fucking creative that he's ever had in 30 years, the last 2 years on AEW television, because the guy at the fucking top, the guy in charge, didn't tell him no! So if Jericho has that sort of freedom, and is it? Whatever he's feeling, it was a product of Chris Jericho. And Tony could have done anything to stop it. Jericho going to WWE, he's not going to be able to get away with that shit. Bruce Pritchard, Michael Hayes, William Regal, everybody else on that fucking writing team and on that management staff is going to sit Chris Jericho down, and I'm sure he'll have his own ideas, and I'm sure he'll get some of what he wants. But now he's working with an actual professional team. No matter what you think of how bad they were this year, they still are the best at what they do. Especially if we're comparing both companies. Jericho's not going to be able to go out there and do whatever the fuck he wants to do. Jericho is going to be contained. Some of Jericho's ideas will float around out there, but most of it will be from the vision of WWE Creative, from Triple H, from Michael Hayes, from William Regal, from everybody on that writing team. Jericho was running wild with shit creative and nobody to tell him no. At least Jericho coming on into WWE, he will be contained, and what we get is going to be a mix of what he wants and what WWE thinks is best for Chris Jericho. So why did Chris Jericho fail in the eyes of the sickos? Because Tony Khan didn't tell him no. Tony Khan is not a creative guy. Tony Khan is not a leader. Tony Khan is not a creative anything. Tony Khan is a fantasy matchmaker. He respects all the veterans so much that he sits by and just wants to be friends with them and wants to drink his White Claw with them at the end of the show. He can't tell them no. He doesn't tell Jericho no. He doesn't tell Moxley no. He doesn't tell Edge no. He doesn't tell MJF no. He doesn't tell anybody no. He lets everybody do what they want to do, and if he really feels strongly about a creative decision, whether it's a win or a loss, he'll fucking interject himself. The guy can't even book a fucking show the right way. Look at the show on Wednesday night. It is ass backwards. The format of the show, the way the show is run, the way the show sounds, the way the show feels. It's an indie mindset. It's the minor leagues. And if Jericho thought AEW was worth being in, Jericho would be there to help the company into year 7, 8, 9, and 10. And get paid. If he wants to get paid, I'm sure Tony would fucking pay him a boatload to keep him there. But Jericho realizes AEW can't be saved. It's not worth saving. The talent there don't want to listen to anybody. So I'm going to go make my money in WWE. I'm going to retire in WWE. And AEW is going to be without Chris Jericho. That is a 30-year veteran with 30 years of experience just walking out of the company. That is a pillar of the company walking out. That is your first ever world champion walking out of the company. Yet all you want to think is that Jericho's value only exists by what you see on television.
God damn it.
Jericho will then go to NXT. He will be at the Performance Center. He'll be teaching. He'll be molding. He'll be guiding. He'll be spreading his knowledge to all of the young people that want to enter the WWE and become a professional wrestler. And how many more people will be better off for it? How many people in AEW are going to be better off with Chris Jericho leaving the company? Zero. Zero. And this won't be the last. Mark my words, this will not be the last. Cody left. Punk got fired, and everybody thought, he's not going back to WWE. Yeah, what happened? Punk is one of the best things on television every single week, and your top guy walked out of the company to go walk back into WWE when people didn't give it a fucking shot in the dark happening. And the highest rated Dynamite last year, and the highest rated Dynamite maybe of the last 3 years, came with that guy on your television show in a closed circuit footage from Wembley Stadium with Jack Perry. Dynamite hasn't even come close, hasn't come close at all to achieving that rating since. And since that episode, they lost 35 to 40% of their audience in both the overall viewership and the demo. But the promotion of the year says fucking shill Alba. Jericho leaving creates this illusion that, he's old, he's off television, we don't need him. Gee, if Jericho wanted to come work for me with 30 years of experience, why the fuck would anybody tell him no? Oh, but Jericho wants to retire. He wants to go to WWE. Oh, his footage is there, JD. That's great. That's fantastic. If Jericho felt AEW could be saved, Jericho would want to be in AEW. Point blank, period. The fact that he's walking away should speak volumes about what the ecosystem and what everybody feels about AEW. And like I said, he's not going to be the last. You think Mercedes is going to be in AEW for the rest of her career? You are a fucking fool if you think Mercedes is going to retire in AEW. Sasha Banks will be back on your television within the next 5 years. MJF is certainly on his way out the door. You think that man's going to fucking work the indies for the rest of his career? Give me a fucking break. Give me a break. They're going to be, how long is it going to be until Copeland retires? He's going to be on his way out the door. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up back in WWE and retires promptly in WWE. Bobby Lashley, how long do you think he's going to last? All these names, mind you, are ex-WWE names that did absolutely nothing to garner interest. So So when you want to point the finger of blame of Jericho or at Chris Jericho for his lack of fucking whatever he did on television, you should look at the existing WWE Hall of Famers that are on television that are in storylines right now that did nothing to generate interest for AEW Dynamite or AEW Collision. I don't really understand how everybody is looking at this as, oh, it's a good day, we don't need him. WWE is going to give Chris Jericho a platform. WWE is going to give Chris Jericho a great run. WWE is going to give Chris Jericho a podcast home on Fanatics or Netflix or wherever the fuck they're going to land their podcast partnership with. I'm sure Chris Jericho is fucking cozied up to some Hollywood agent. I'm sure he'll be in fucking TV shows and movies. I'm sure Fozzie's going to continue. Jericho's cruise is going to continue. Jericho's going to be able to continue to do what he does now with WWE. And he's going to be a bigger star for it than he ever was in AEW. At 55 years old. And he's going to get a retirement run, which, after seeing John Cena, I'm not really sure exactly where that's going to land Chris Jericho. I don't know. If Jericho walked out of my fucking company with the value that he brings away from the television screen, I'd be fucking upset. Meanwhile, everybody's celebrating this like it's, oh yeah, we don't need him. We don't need him. Who exactly do you have on television that's actually a star? That's what I want to know. You think Swerve's a star? Swerve's not a star. You think Will Ospreay's a fucking star? Will Ospreay's not a star. Danny Garcia? Jon Moxley? All this Jon Moxley glazing the last 72 hours coming out of World's End. Like the guy didn't fucking kill your television show for the last 12 months. With a dog shit angle and stable and storyline. No, but Jericho is the problem. Jericho on his way out. We don't need him. We don't need him. You brought in the biggest and best women's wrestler on the fucking planet, and she hasn't made a dent in the fucking ratings in a positive way. In fact, she's driven away viewers every time she's on television. So what exactly do you think Chris Jericho walking away from AEW is doing in a positive way? I'd love for someone to please tell me exactly why you're celebrating such a maneuver. Cody, Punk, and Jericho. So not only do they got the guy who started the fucking place, now they got their world champion, and they also got their biggest star. What else needs to happen to get it through your thick skulls that AEW is fucking sinking faster than the fucking Titanic? Do we need the Young Bucks to eventually walk into AEW, away from AEW and into WWE? Do you think they're going to be there forever? How much more do you think they can do? This needed to be said. Everything that I said here needed to be said. You don't like it? Tough shit. I'm looking forward to Chris Jericho. And it has nothing to do with me shitting on his AEW creative, because everybody knows his fucking AEW creative in the learning tree was fucking awful. That's not the gotcha moment you think it is. Everything that stable gave us, the segments, the fucking gimmick, it was awful. But Jericho was allowed to do what Jericho wanted to do with nobody to tell him no. He's not going to be allowed to get away with that in WWE because there's real leadership in WWE, not some fucking E-fed fantasy matchmaker running the show. They need to go off the air next week with a big bang. Is Jericho that big bang? I don't know. But I would absolutely explore that opportunity if it is presented. Because WWE needs to... They need to do something that's going to get people talking immediately. There's nothing but bad stigma around WWE right now. Nothing. Creative is down. It's not really exciting. It's not really unpredictable. It's very much predictable. Storyline. What's the biggest storyline in the company? You can't really focus on one thing. It's the vision. Is it really something that's generating interest on a week-to-week basis? No. No, they need to do something. With the WWE taking the Rumble into Saudi, it's not really sitting well with a lot of people as well. The Saudi Rumble isn't really generating the excitement of previous Rumbles. They need to do something big. We'll see if Jericho is actually that. We'll talk the Usos. They won the tag team championships tonight. Won the tag team same position before tonight's title change happened. Because that's the only thing I'm thinking about. Stephanie Vaquer defended the Women's World Championship against Raquel Rodriguez and Nikki Bella. And Braun Breaker CM Punk had a tremendous opening segment, which we will very much go over today. This is your Monday Night Raw post show for December 29th, 2025. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications. Don't check out all the content on the channel. We were live on Saturday night, deep into the early Sunday morning. Oh, he says, this is the moment that 5 years from now fans will look back on as defining the WrestleMania main eventers of that era. Fans chanted OTC, OTC. They were switching between that and CM Punk chants. He thanked the fans for their most irrelevant opinion. Which is a shoot, because everybody that works for these companies, they feel like the fans have an irrelevant opinion. The critics have an irrelevant opinion. Meanwhile, I got half the fucking locker room fucking dangling from my nutsack. Not the WWE locker room, the AEW locker room, but my opinion's irrelevant, but they can't ever keep my name out of their fucking mouth. And they got me on t-shirts and this and that, and my opinion didn't mean much. If anything, then nobody would be fucking spreading my opinion around. And nobody would care about what I have to say, but they very much do. So that was a shoot. If you're a professional wrestler or work for a company like AEW or WWE, you very much think our opinions, me and everybody else that's a fan, that we're marks and we're irrelevant, and that you know better and we don't know shit. But in this case, Paul Heyman's probably smarter than most of the business anyway, so is it really a shoot? He said the rumors are true. The newest member of the Division is Austin Theory. He then turned to Theory and said, earn your keep, young man. They are all yours. He handed the mic to Theory. Theory's out there, and I'm a Theory fan. Personally, I'm a Theory fan. I think he's got a great look. I think he's well than average, above average in the ring. I think what he does is smooth. He's very good at what he does. But I'm already getting a sense that the fans have already given him the label of, please go away. We don't look at you as a star. We don't really give a shit about Austin Theory. That's the vibe I was getting tonight. Now, I know it's only been 2 weeks, but I hope that it doesn't feel worse as we move on into the new year. Theory says he has waited his entire life for this and worked his entire life for this moment. He says he has a lot of things he wanted to talk about. He pointed at Braun Breaker and said he is the next world champion. Theory invited Heyman to remind him of their policy. Heyman said the goals of the Vision outweigh the individual needs of any athlete inside the group. So by the end of this, Austin Theory said nothing. He was given time on a microphone for about 30 seconds, put over Braun Breaker as the next World Heavyweight Champion, and then had Paul Heyman read through his mission statement for the group. Because then, out comes CM Punk. He walks out onto the stage. Music died down. He addresses Theory first. He told Theory he's apparently spitting on it and doing tricks on it already. I guess he's been reading the Kenny Omega handbook, CM Punk. It's basically what Kenny Omega told Gail Kim. He basically called Gail Kim a whore and said she jumped on dick for WWE gift basket. Sure. Anything to rile up the sickos. Theory is apparently drinking the Kool-Aid full on. He says he's not there to talk to him, though. He said, one of them in the group must have a brain. He says he's talking to Heyman. He said Breakker already has his title match scheduled, but there won't be. He was angry. He got in Punk's face. Punk smiled back at Breakker, and that concluded this segment. This was a great sell. Out of the recent championship matches that we've seen, we didn't even get this with Punk and Gunther. Punk won a fatal four-way, and then he went to SummerSlam, and they had one face-to-face, and that was it. Nothing really worth talking about. Nothing really materialized out of that. It was all about Seth Rollins' catch. Does Braun Breaker win the championship next week? Do we get a new World Heavyweight Champion? That depends. What does WWE do with Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes? Because they're wrestling on January 9th in Berlin, Germany. They already announced a 3 stages of hell match between Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes. I think WWE should belt Drew McIntyre. I pray to God that they didn't make this stipulation, because this was the last-ditch effort for WWE to make a stipulation that they could actually have Drew McIntyre win a fall-in. That would be awful. Can you imagine WWE giving us a gimmick that they've only done 5 of in their history? 6 of in their history? Just because they wanted McIntyre to get a visual pinfall over Cody Rhodes without actually winning the championship and give Cody Rhodes the win in the end, retaining the championship. That would be utterly ridiculous. I immediately called that out as soon as that match was announced. If Drew McIntyre wins the World Championship, the WWE Championship, then Braun Breaker's not winning the championship. I just don't see WWE changing 2 of their biggest championships in the same week. I don't see it. I just don't see it happening. And if I had to choose one or the other, I'm going Drew and not Braun. I think Drew deserves it more. They could run the Braun Breaker CM Punk match back, whether it's Saturday night's main event, the Rumble, or maybe we take it into WrestleMania. I don't think Braun is going to win the championship and everything is going to just reset with Braun Breaker, the new young kid, as the World Heavyweight Champion. That's too easy. Or is Chris Jericho going to show up, and is Chris Jericho going to integrate himself into the Vision's plans? And the reason why I like Chris Jericho is because I do believe when the reports were coming out about what had happened with CM Punk and the disagreements with the Elites and Adam Page and Kenny Omega, and everybody wanted to hopefully get on the same page and maybe do business, I think Jericho was at the forefront of those talks, mediating, trying to get everybody involved. Being that Jericho had a lot of political pull backstage, he tried to get everybody involved. And he wanted Punk on an equal playing field. He wanted Punk in the company. He realized that with Punk there, business would be better with Punk there. Doing business with Punk is better than no business with Punk. I think Jericho even threw his name into the hat of taking Jericho away from all this nonsense and feuding with him instead of feuding with the Elite. So, if those were true, if that actually happened, and they just take a page out of what we saw then, and Jericho comes and focuses on CM Punk, they have a written storyline there with the history between those two guys. They have backstage history in AEW that they could bring to light in the most subtle of ways, and they have history in WWE together. I think that would be at least as far as the promo work back and forth. I think the promo work would be fucking better than whatever they produce in the ring. But again, I don't really sit here clamoring to see Punk versus Jericho in a top-tier program on Monday night.
Well, yeah, I agree. Especially since that they're older now. They had a feud back in 2012 at WrestleMania 28. And that was a great feud. It was more personal. It was a heated feud because about Jericho going after Punch Finley, going after a sitter. We don't need to see that here.
Jericho could easily come in, lead the Vision. Rollins comes back, he sees Jericho running his group the way that he thought he'd be running his group, and Jericho just took over the fucking operation, and it's Rollins and Jericho.
Hold on. I'm about to end my live stream pretty soon.
Just talking like, do you look at the Vision as like, oh my god, this is the group?
No.
Do we ever get a mission statement from the Vision? Well, like, what is the Vision's mission?
Exactly.
Is the Vision on Monday night any more of a threat now than they were under the leadership of Rollins?
No.
Does Monday Night Raw feel threatened?
No.
Paul Heyman leading the Vision is great. Paul Heyman speaking for the Vision about how they're the future of the company and how this is the youth is great. But having Jericho come on in, lead the Vision, I think that says a lot about what Jericho feels is the vision of the WWE as well, adding that presence of 30 years into the group. I'm not saying I absolutely want this, but if they want to make the group feel bigger, it's got to be more than just Paul Heyman. It's got to be more than Bron Breakker and Austin Theory and Logan Paul and Bronson Reed. Again, this is just an idea. The one thing I do like about this match is the fact that it's unpredictable. I don't know what they're going to do. All I hope is that they give us something substantial that leaves us talking after it's over. Whether it's Jericho joining the Vision, Bron Breakker winning the championship because of some shenanigans, then the question remains is what happens to Bron Breakker? Where does he go from here? Does he wrestle? Backstage, Jackie Redmond interviewed Raquel Rodriguez. She was asked about...
Well, might as well stop the video. I made it long enough. Until that time, hit that like button, leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. Until that time, I'll see y'all later.